Hello and welcome to another episode of G63 Dad, where G63 Dad looks at your business problems and solves them. So, what are we going to talk about today? No idea, to be honest with you. No, I know exactly what we're going to talk about today. I'm just blaming you. I'm still, kids are still off school. It's the longest week of my actual life. And obviously it was my daughter's birthday yesterday. So, long day yesterday. We had like half our friends in the house. Like, some of them stayed over. It was an absolute nightmare, honestly. Wild. They were all over the place, just in my life. So I didn't get to film anything yesterday, so I'm catching up today. Now I'm just out driving around at the minute. I need to go and pick up my smallest child, because she is at her aunt's house. So I'm going to actually drive over there now and collect her, is what I am doing. So what I'm going to do is, whilst I am doing that quest, that side quest in my life, I am going to talk to you about one of the most asked questions I receive. Probably one of the most important questions that I've received, and it's definitely the highest the highest volume question I receive. My IG DMs are getting this quite a lot. Although no one seems to be commenting on YouTube, which is weird. But it's also one of the most commonly asked questions in the school community as well. School community is obviously listed in the description below if you're interested in that. $97 to learn how to start your own business, which is the subject of today's video. How does one go about actually starting a business? And yeah, because it sounds simple, right? You're like, oh, I'm just going to start a business. But is it simple though? Is it though? Right? Because there are many things that you need to do in order to actually start a business. One does not simply start a business, right? It's not that easily done. One does not simply just start a business and then whoosh, go, right? There are many factors involved in starting a business, and you need to be aware of all of, if not most of them at least, before you go ahead and do that. Because if you just try and start a business and you've got no idea what you're doing, you're going to miss stuff. And when you miss stuff, what happens is you fail. And that is quite bad, actually, for all parties involved. It's bad for you, it's bad for your clients, it's bad for everyone, right? So, what you are going to get today is you're going to get an insight into my brain on how you properly start a business. And that is... yeah, that's what we're going to do. So, let's kick off. First thing you're going to do when you start a business is you're going to ask yourself the most fundamental question that can be asked in the business setup thing. Is the thing I want to do worth doing, effectively? Sounds like a really harsh question, right? Is the thing I want to do worth doing? Now, that sounds brutal, to be honest, right? But you need to ask yourself, is anyone going to pay for the thing I'm doing? Does it add any value? Is it economically viable, right? You need to ask these questions, because if it's not economically viable, then don't do it. It's not going to do you any favours, basically, right? If the thing you want to do doesn't add value to anyone, then it's a pointless venture. Yeah, I'm going around about. I've came the wrong way. I've just realised that I'm going the wrong way. So, just in case anybody picks that up, yeah, I just went in a circle because I've came in the wrong street. Forgot where I was going. Anyway, ask yourself, fundamentally, is the thing I wish to do even worth pursuing? Because if it is not worth pursuing, then why are you starting a business? Pointless, right? You need to basically ask yourself, is it going to make any money? Does this idea I have financial back? Has it got a financial backbone to it? Is it going to actually play out that I generate profit from this? Because if you're not going to do that, then you're either running a charity or you're wasting your time, right? And with that out of the way, then you can start doing the things. And the things consist of getting all your showpieces together. So you need to figure out, what's your name? What's your name going to be? Now, the name's not actually as important as the idea itself. You need the idea, obviously, but you need a good name. You're going to need to get a logo. You're going to need to get a company registration done in your, like, sort of locality, wherever that is. You could be viewing me from the UK, in which case you're going to go to company's house. You could be viewing me from the States, in which case you're going to register with the local state government and form an LLC. There are many different things that you do in that place, that space, that need to be done. But the most important of them all is making sure that you're registered, first of all, with the registered sort of the authority in your district, region, country, whatever. You need to make sure that you're officially set up, right? Because I personally, I've mentioned this before, I wouldn't trade with someone that wasn't a registered company. I wouldn't do it. I don't trade with individuals, basically. Obviously I have clients that are individuals, but broadly, if I'm doing a business deal, I won't trade with someone that isn't a registered company. It's just not cleanly. It's not a clean business, so I don't do it. So that's it. You want to make sure, first of all, right, that you've got a good idea that's going to generate money. Can it be transformed into something? Is it a transformational engine that creates revenue? And from there, you are then going to give yourself a cool name. You're going to make a sick logo, and you are going to register your business with your relevant authority. But you still haven't started a business. You might have a name and you might be incorporated, but you still haven't started a business because you haven't thought about any of the things that it takes to actually run a business yet. So let's dive into them, shall we? First things first, do you need contracts? If so, then who's going to write them? Where do they come from? Are they properly designed contracts, or is it just a piece of information that you've put on the back of a napkin and you're hoping that it holds up when something doesn't pan out? Absolutely not. Get a lawyer. Get contracts made properly. And that is what needs to happen. I don't care what anybody else says. That's what's going down, right? You need to set up properly. You're going to need contracts. Contracts mean lawyers, right? Then you need to ask yourself, how does my service get delivered? Do I need a website? Maybe. Do I need social media? Maybe. What is my actual service provision? Am I making something? Who's making it? Where is it made? Is it made in your house? Is it made in a factory? It could be made anywhere. So many things in that particular transaction alone, so many variables to consider that you need to ask yourself. If it's not being made, is it being supplied? Where does it come from? Where does it go? Where does it come from, Cotton Eye Joe? I'm never going to do that again. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help myself. But where does the stuff come from if it's being supplied, not made? Okay, cool. It's being supplied. It's coming from somewhere. You got that supply chain set up. How much do you buy? You need planning. You need to think about these things. You need to think about how you actually get stuff from one place to another so that your customer can buy it. Is it a service? Are you set up to deliver that service? Do you have the necessary equipment? Do you have the necessary technology? Do you have the necessary staff? For me, for example, I offer several 24-hour services. In order to deliver those 24-hour services, I need people to be awake all the time. I have day shift, I have back shift, I have night shift. You need these things, right? You can't just decide you're going to do something and then it magically happens tomorrow. You need to plan in order to execute. And I suppose that is the running theme of this entire conversation that I have for you. In order to execute something, you first must plan it. If you have not planned it, then you cannot execute it, right? Very simple. I'm in my hometown right now. Some of you don't know if anybody knows this place. This is where I was born, in this town. My sister still lives here, and I'm coming to collect my child. It's really weird driving through my hometown. Like, I don't live here anymore. I very rarely come here. And it's so odd to just sort of be back here where I grew up and nothing's the same. Like, they're still at the same, some of the same shops and stuff, but nothing's really the same. It's really bizarre. Sorry, massive tangent there. Don't know if that's ever happened to any of you, where like you go to the place where you're from, if you've like left, obviously, you go back to the place you're from, and you sort of just see it, and it's like it's totally different. It's a totally different landscape. There is a man over there, and he's just been to the florist. He's bought flowers and he's bought chocolates, and so either he's in trouble or obviously, you know, it's Valentine's Day soon, so he's getting active for that. Sorry, just want a people observation for you there. But anyway, sorry, moving on. So yeah, you need to plan to execute. You can't execute then plan. That's not how good design works. It doesn't work that way. You can't do it. What you need to do is have an actual strategy in place in your brain before you go ahead and do these things. Otherwise, it's not going to work out for you. So, yeah, anyway, once you have a plan, you can then start to execute that. And you need to think about, after that, what is the capacity for your delivery. So if you're going to be making things, how many can you make per day, per hour, per minute, even depending on what it is. And then from there, how do you get them to the customer? Again, thinking about that supply chain, right? You need to think about capacity for delivery. After you've developed what the baseline of a plan for how you actually do something, you need to then obviously think about your capacity for delivery. How do you get more customers? Now, I covered this in a previous video, talking about, obviously, you know, getting traffic from any position, getting traffic on socials, getting traffic from email lists, getting traffic from X, Y, and Z. You need to consider that if you're starting a business. Who is your customer? Have you done a sort of customer profile? Who is your avatar? Pick your avatar, choose your avatar. Every time, makes me laugh every time. But who's your avatar? Who's your target market? Have you thought about this? Or are you just going to start a business selling t-shirts and you have no idea who's going to wear them? Is it a specific thing that you're going to put on them? Are you just going to sell white t-shirts and hope that you can compete with people like Uniqlo? I hope not, because that's a really bad strategy. If you're going to start selling white t-shirts and you think you can compete with giants like Uniqlo, you're insane, right? Unless the t-shirt has some sort of innovation. Which then leads me to the next thing. What is your innovation? If any, what is your innovation? Let's think about now, what is the unique selling point of the thing that you are actually doing? So we asked before, is the thing that you're doing marketable? Is it profitable? If yes, then hone in on the unique selling point of the thing that you are actually trying to sell. What are you good at? What are you doing for your client? What benefit do they receive from your service or product? Document that. It is probably one of the most important things that you need to know as a person running a business. If you don't know what your core deliverable is, your core service, your core product, you can't tangibly tell me what the actual benefit to your thing is, then there is no benefit to it. If you don't know, then no one's going to know. Wow, this guy can't drive. Sorry, I'm going to have to mount the curb. No, I'm not. I'm okay. I thought I was going to have to drive on the path, but I'm saved. Yeah, if you don't know sort of what your core benefit, core product, core market, if you don't know, then I don't know. How am I supposed to know as a customer? I'm not going to be able to make progress with that. So, knowing that, also extremely important. And I suppose, like, across the piece, those are the key things, right? Those are the key big points that I want to make here. Is, first of all, to start a business, you need to actually think about starting a business, if that makes sense. It sounds so stupid, but you need to actually think. Switch on what is in between your ears and think about what you're going to do. Is it worth doing? And if it is, then you can figure out your name, your logo, all of that stuff can happen. But it can all happen whilst all the other stuff's happening too, right? Get your name, get incorporated. That's the first thing to do. Become legally registered. Become a legal entity. I cannot stress this enough. You don't want to be a guy that sells stuff. You want to be a company that sells stuff. You have legal protections, right? It is a legal entity in its own right. You personally don't get sued. Companies get sued. You don't get sued, right? It's very, very important that you set up this way in order for you to be a legitimate business. Legitimate business is the only kind of business, if you ask me. Now, there are definitely many illegitimate businesses, and I'm not going to go into those because I don't really know anything about them. But being a legitimate business, in my opinion, trumps being an illegitimate business every day of the week, simply for the legal protections that affords you. After that, you then need to think about all of the things that make your business work. Don't sit on your ass and wait for things to be sold. It doesn't work that way. There is no set and forget methodology. You need to do stuff to make money. You don't just set something down and then it generates money. There is no money magnet, right? It doesn't exist, right? You need to do stuff in order to generate revenue. And that means selling products, selling services, getting clients on board and actually doing stuff. And then finally, think about the delivery mechanisms and the toolkit behind how you actually do the thing that you're trying to do. Ask yourself the fundamental questions. How do I scale that? How do I make that service work? Etc, etc. So many questions to be asked in that space that people just ignore. How many staff do I need? What do I need? Where does it come from? Basically, the running theme of this video is ask questions, hundreds of them, thousands of them, Ask questions every single day. If you're not asking a question, at least on a daily basis, you're not doing it right. Simple as that. Everything is about questions and getting answers to those questions. If you can get answers to your questions, then it's going well. If your questions don't have answers, then you might be in trouble. It remains to be seen. But that is the breakdown from me on how you start your own business, basically. It is more of a philosophical thesis than a practical thesis, quite frankly. However, I am going to break this down in school in even more detail. I am going to take actual practical steps and I am going to document them in our school community. So, whilst this is value add to you, because I've basically told you what to do, right? If you want even more telling what to do, I want you to go into my description, I want you to click on the school link, and I want you to subscribe to our school community. And in there, I am going to start to develop out a how you start your own business module. And I'm going to drop it into that community in the next few days. So you've got some time to learn some other stuff before you get involved in the starting your own business piece, right? But that is what's going to happen. I am going to develop that module and I'm going to drop it into the school community. And it is going to tell you the things that you need to do in order to execute your designs as a future business owner. How do you go from being not a business owner to being one? That's what I'm going to drop. So in the description below, school community, $97. And I'm going to tell you that. Otherwise, I hope you've taken value from this. As always, if you haven't taken value, you're probably not here. For those of you who are here, thank you very much for your time. I have enjoyed speaking to you today. Obviously, as I always encourage you, click the subscribe button. The more subscribers I get, the more encouragement it is for me to continue doing this. Click that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications about future videos, and of course, please do leave comments telling me about what your problems are, what you need solved, what do you want to know, how can I help you solve your business problems. Give me video ideas and I will make them for you. I am so keen for that. If not, my IG is also in the description. Feel free to follow me on there. You can DM me any questions you've got as well. I put loads of other value content on my Instagram, so loads of short form stuff that I put on there, like 3 big reasons for X, Y, and Z. Like, I love doing those sort of videos. I love that short burst information. It's my favourite. So yeah, follow me on there, and of course, anywhere else you want to follow me that I am, feel free to do so. But the easiest place to get me right now is school, because that's where I'm most active. So yeah, link at the bottom, like I said. Click on it. $97, best $97 you're ever going to spend in your entire life. And that is it from me. Hopefully, yeah, I'm almost there, almost where I need to be to pick up my smallest child. So I'm going to stop here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are. G63 Dad, out.